In order to continue to exist as living beings, we must ensure that the basis of our life, our planet Earth, remains worth living. In this context, plastic is symbolic of the loss of the connection between humans and nature and the pollution of our environment. It has become an essential part of our everyday life, and yet it has an ambivalent effect on society. On the one hand, the material seems to be indispensable in its use. Its advantages are convincing, light, stable, and producible with every imaginable characteristic. On the other hand, plastic is made of crude oil, a non-renewable resource, and ends up in a way that nature can't take it back. Here again, the fatal consequences can be seen in an example of plastic, which often ends up as waste in nature. Plastic objects are everywhere. They have given our planet a new and unattractive face. Initially, the function of plastic is always in focus. It determines how the material is to be used. Filling a plastic bag with groceries or drinking from a disposable cup. As soon as the purpose is fulfilled, however, the material loses its value. It's discarded carelessly. It does not seem possible for us to perceive the material differently. But how did we get there? How could a material that is so present and accompanies our everyday life be treated so carelessly? In my work, I start to form the assumption that the problem will only change if our perception of the material changes. But how can we perceive plastic? Philosophy offered me answers and paved the way to aesthetics. As an independent field of philosophy, aesthetics embraces the necessary steps to understand. Aesthetics is derived from the Greek word aesthesis and means perceiving, feeling, understanding. Only when we perceive something, feel it through our sensory experiences, we can also understand it. We take it to be aesthetic. Based on the philosophical thoughts, I formed the hypothesis that the absence of aesthetics is responsible for the problematic of the material plastic. Through my encounters with found materials made of plastic, I was able to understand. As disposable products, they are symbolic of the absence of aesthetics. Looking at plastic landscapes, the cognitive faculty of humankind reaches its limits. This appearance of plastic is overpowering. We are confronted with sensory experiences that we have never experienced before. How aesthetics can be generated through the intervention of nature becomes clear in an example of my work. Found materials from the sea adopt a color gradient of sand, are covered with a salty coating, or decay in a mysterious way. We need these images of found materials. Only then we can understand their connection to nature and retrace the history of the material. This is where we can now start to influence the future of plastic. The mediating bodies have a unique power. This should be used to initiate a process of change and to create a deeper awareness of the present through aesthetic perception.